moving on to the next slide. So we'll take this example for today, right? So let's say there is a digital transformation initiatives. The Olivia is a data engineer who is assigned with the task to enable advanced self-service business intelligence capabilities by mapping and transforming unstructured data in a structured format, right? And the transformation is critical to enable deeper insights and empowering business users, right? So that they can make data-driven decisions. Now, if you look at a traditional way of software development, right, the Olivia has to go through some defined set of activities. I just list down a few of those critical ones there on the right side of the slide, right? She has to basically ingest those documents for the OCRs. She has to do the mapping and extract data elements because in a traditional, OCR techniques, you have to map your data elements with their positions and the coordinates, right? And then you create an entity model for the data that you have extracted from those documents. You need to create a data entity model so that it can be feed into your, backend systems. Then the scripts to create those schemas, ETL scripts to load the data. And finally, let's say when the data has been loaded, there is a dependency on the IT team to create the reports and the dashboards to provide insights. Now, as I said, right, these are the typical activities that Olivia has to do. Now we'll see with this real-time example, how we can help Olivia to augment her, software development journey and improve his productivity. So, all right, yeah. So objective is to enhance Olivia's productivity and CodeMate. CodeMate is basically, just to let you know, is a solution and a framework that our engineering team has developed to enable all the internal functions within the organization, as well as to help our customers to enable them on different AI use cases and to augment their business processes. The CodeMate can have different interfaces. It could be integrated through a chat interface. It could be a voice bot where you can do some, voice interaction with the CodeMate to take help. It can be even integrated to your systems through an APIs. Or it can also be integrated through some 3D avatars wherein, you can have a, human-like image there on your machine, which can talk to you to provide some human touch and then, help you in your specific requirements and the business processes. On to the right, just to give you a quick walkthrough of the reference architecture while building this framework, how we have built up, how it helps, how it is going to help Olivia in this specific example. So the foundation of our CodeMate solution or the framework is based on the multi-agent approach, where each agent has been assigned to do a certain set of tasks. Starting from code generator. So basically, code generator is our agent, which basically, takes the input from the user, and then it is integrated with LLM models. And when I say LLM models, the framework can be integrated with any LLM model available. It can be integrated with, Google Gemini, or it can be integrated with AWS Code Whisperer, or it can be integrated with Microsoft Codex, which is used by Copilot, or any open source model like Llama or anything that you want to, right? Based on the enterprise requirements. So code generator, when it integrates with LLM model, it extracts the context of the user input. And based on that context, it basically generates the code. When I say generates the code, in this example, it could be a technical code, but in a business process, it's basically the response to serve the context of the user. Once the code will be generated, we have another agent, which is called code analyzer, which takes the input from code generator and then analyze it based on your enterprise standard, compliance, and best practices. Like every enterprise have their own standards to, when it comes to technical application development and these programs, every enterprise has their own standards, practices, compliances. So code analyzer can be trained on your enterprise standard so that once it will analyze the code generated by the code generator, it analyzes it, provides you recommendations, provide you the, give you some actionable insights for the area of improvements. Once your code is aligned with your enterprise standards and the recommendations, then we have another agent, which is code executor. So now this the responsibility of code executor is to take that code and then execute it on the backend platform. It could be any cloud service platform. It could be an application where you just need to feed in the data. It's the backend for them, right? And while code executor will execute the scripts or the programs on the backend platform, we have a assistive agent to the code executor that we call it as a code corrector. So the responsibility of code corrector is to monitor any runtime errors while executing the programs or the scripts on the platform. So now, if there would be any runtime errors that happen, code corrector will make sure it takes those errors, understand what are we trying to execute, what is the error. Based on its learning and the training, it basically provides the recommendation and the insights that how it can be corrected. Then, how this whole pipeline can be arranged, it depends on the requirement. There could be some human in the loop that can be, ingested at each of these stages, so that before these generative AI solutions make a decision and execute anything on the platform, it can be reviewed by a subject matter expert to make decision. But yes, this is how the journey can be executed, and then could be, all these Lego blocks can be joined together to build a whole pipeline. So as I said, right, the goal for this example to enhance Olivia's productivity. So having said that, let's move on to a real-time quick example to see how this thing can be done through CodeMate. Is my screen still visible with the browser, John? Can you see the CodeMate?
Yeah, I still can see. How can I help you today?
All right, yeah. Okay, so as I said, right, CodeMate can have different interface. For today's example, we are using a chat-based interface, but it can be integrated to your system through APIs or through different voice-based mechanism. So for this example, we are going to pick one of this document, which is basically a vision test form, right? Submitted by a doctor. Let's say, any applicant, if they are going to apply for a driver license, they have to go through a vision test, right? So we are taking this example, and you can integrate it with any sort of documents. And the beauty of CodeMate is like, this document can be a handwritten, it could be a PDF, it could be a Word document, or any format. The solutions are there which can identify the format of your document, and then it can process it. So just to show you the solution here, let's say we'll upload this document. I'll simply do a natural language prompt, say like process the attached document. So with these natural language inputs, the code generator integrated with your code analyzer, code executor, they understand what is the context of the user, what user wants to achieve. They will classify this document, which category it belongs to. They can transform the data, this unstructured data, into a structured format that can be then further ingested into your backend systems. So there you go. You can see like, we did a natural language prompt, CodeMate actually extract this document into a structured format. Let's look at it. So it gives us an option to download the, data in a JSON format. So if you look at it, right, the document that we have uploaded, it pulls up all the information from the document. And the way it extracts is like, it extracts each and every data element with its value and a confidence level. So the purpose of having this confidence level from this generative AI solution is, once AI is doing some task for you, it tells you like, how confident it is to perform that job, right? And the benefit of doing this is while you have a confidence level extracted at a data element level, you can actually build your workflow rules, you can build your business rules to say like, okay, this is my threshold. If AI is not, if confident above this threshold, I want my, subject matter experts to review this task, right? Review the end result before we actually make any decision. So this is how the workflow rules can be built up. So the data that have been extracted, we can see this data in a JSON format, right? And then with this example, as we saw that, sorry. So you can see, I'm sorry, I just realized my screen was not shared. So this is how the data have been extracted into a JSON format. So you can see we have each of those data elements that have been extracted from the document, their value, and the confidence level that I just spoke about. So now, as part of Olivia's task, she has the data. The next thing for her is to basically create a data entity model. Let's say if she has to feed this data into a backend system like, let's say, BigQuery, right? She has to create that data entity model. So let's see how CodeMate can help Olivia to generate those entity models. So let's say generate BigQuery data entity model for the same. Now, the other thing is like, because CodeMate has you know, is built on a large language model and it can manage the context of your conversations through the whole pipeline. I don't need to, every time provide the inputs, like, what is the data that I'm talking about, or, it can pick up the context based on what it has already been extracted and it can help us, right? So as I said, right, generate BigQuery data entity model for the same. It creates the data entity model as well as it helps me to explain why few things have been done in a certain way, right? It has basically created 5 entity models for me: applicant, doctor, license restrictions, vision check results, and the vision test, right? It also gives me a short summary of what each data entity model has been created for, and then the scripts which, as a developer you can just take and then go ahead and execute it on your platform so that the uh, entities could be created. So once you have this thing, let's assume that, Olivia got all the script. She has created all the schema objects in the BigQuery as part of her, deliverable. The next task that she has to take up is to now actually create a ETL script, which basically migrate the data from the source to the destination. So how we can help here is, again, CodeMate can help to create the foundational framework of those ETL script, which can then further be enhanced by Olivia based on any specific business requirement or a business rule. Let's say build ETL script to load it. I don't need to say ETL script compatible for BigQuery or, where I want to load it, because now CodeMate has an context that, I have a data, I ask for BigQuery entity model. So it understand that, I want to actually now load my data into BigQuery, right? So based on those understanding and the context, it can help Olivia to create the BigQuery scripts, like that can be again used by Olivia to use that. And then I just took an example of BigQuery. You can even do the same thing for any backend platform. It could be Amazon Redshift or Microsoft Azure. So now, as we have this ETL scripts ready, we have the schema, we have the data, transformed to a structured format. The task that is left for Olivia is to now basically, finally load it, which is a execution. And as I said, CodeMate can help you to execute those scripts, or it can help you do a, manual execution by reviewing everything. So for this example, we are not going to execute everything, just to, consider the time that we have and the things that we have to cover. So let's say, Olivia got everything. She has executed The data is there on the backend now. Now it's basically time to generate some insights. Let's see what is there in our data, right? Let's generate some uh, insight of the data. So for today's session, I have few of the examples that I can show. Let's say once we have added the data, I want to generate some insight. Let's say I list all the applicants who failed their vision check within the past year. So with a simple natural language prompt, it can actually help me provide those insights from the data that have been loaded. And as I said, right, the advantage of doing all these things is to to have the insights from your data or to enhance your BI capabilities, you need not to be dependent on your IT team for everything. There could be some standard reports and dashboards for which the IT teams could define them at the beginning of your projects or the programs, but then, ongoing generating insights, doing, more deeper dive into the data, that can be done without even involving IT by the business executives or the data analyst. So for the example, right, I said list the applicant who failed their vision check. You can see it provides me the name of all the applicants, as well as it provides me the query that actually being executed on the backend. So that if required, again, as I said, right, the human in the review can be introduced at each and every step. So this is just one of the example where, if the technical team wants to make sure the data that have been provided is correct, the query that has been executed is correct, they can validate that. Maybe let's look at one more example for the same. List all the applicants and their visual acuity test results who require follow-up. So again, so basically it is going to provide you the results as well as I said, right, the queries that have been generated to validate. So you can see we got the data, the name of applicants, right, who require a follow-up, what is their vision check results, and the query that have been created. So this is how you can actually, augment the overall complex processes like data migration, data transformation, building your enhanced business intelligence capabilities with the solutions which are powered through generative AI.